Forever young, I wanna be forever young. Can't we be forever, forever young? You can all thank me later for getting that kind of terrible song stuck in your head for the rest of the day. Ha 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 ha. Anyways, so when I started doing these videos a couple of years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, it was during COVID. All the record stores were closed, and I was kind of just thinking of doing some videos on stores that I had visited in the past, just to kind of highlight them, promote them a little bit in hopes that when the stores reopened, that they'd all still be around and you could go check them out. So I was doing these videos talking about stores from the past, and then, everything kind of reopened and I was able to go to stores and do videos on stores as I was visiting them. And not thinking that I would ever need to do any of these, what I called rewind videos on previous record stores visits anymore. But the other day I was going through my CDs and I pulled one out to listen to, and I found the receipt inside for a store in Texas that I visited back in 2016, and just decided to highlight that store. I'm not sure if I'll ever be there again, who knows, but it was a pretty cool store, and I just thought it'd be kind of fun to do another one of these videos on my visit there. So our story begins in 2016. I'm working for the better part of 2 years in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I really enjoyed my time there. What I really liked about it was that it was kind of centralized to a lot of places. So when we'd have the weekends off, I'd be able to rent a car and go visit various places in Texas, Mississippi, Memphis, Tennessee, the Gulf Shores, just a lot of options to go visit places. So I read about this video game museum that was in Frisco, Texas, and it sounded kind of interesting, seemed kind of cool. And, I didn't have anything to do that weekend, so I rented a car, drove up there to Frisco to check out the video game museum, and it was a blast. It was really fun, kind of like walking into like a time machine. Cool spot. Found a really good barbecue place near there called Hutchins. They had this smoker out front that was like the size of a train car. So, like, needless to say, it was like, these mofos must be serious about that barbecue. I mean, it's Texas, obviously. So that was really cool. And then since I was up there for the weekend, I just decided, let me see if there's any record stores around. And over in Grand Prairie, Texas, I discover Forever Young Records. Man, this place was huge. I mean, they had really high ceilings, so that kind of played into the atmosphere, certainly. But the store was gigantic. It was like being in a warehouse of records and CDs. The selection was just amazing, I mean, this record store in the middle of Texas somewhere, I really didn't expect to find all of these CDs that seemed a little more obscure to me. Prices, I've got my trusty receipt here from Forever Young. If you're really, really curious, I was there December 11th, 2016 at 2:30 p.m. Please leave in the comment what you were doing that day. I would love to know. I'll wait. Anyways, prices, t-shirt was $12. That's pretty good for a t-shirt. But the prices were, I think these were all used. I'm not positive. There might have been one or two that weren't, but I think they were all used. And the prices were in the $5 to $8 or $9 range, which, might seem a little high. But again, for the most part, these were things I was surprised to find. These didn't seem like stuff that I would ever find in a record store. Like, I'd have to buy these online. So for the most part, whatever. At that time, I was willing to spend a little bit more for stuff that seemed a little more obscure to me. But anyways, let's dive in and see what I picked up back in 2016 at, I'm not going to do it again to y'all. Let's check out what I picked up. 2006, we get the Thermals and their album, The Body, The Blood, The Machine. Really cool alternative kind of noise punk band. I think they're from Portland. I'm not positive, but I think they are. I discovered them from the TV show I used to always talk about called New York Noise. I did a whole video about New York Noise and its influence on me. I'll put a link below if you want to check that out. I hope you do. But really cool band. I saw them live, and surprisingly, when I was re-listening to all these, I realized I've seen most of these bands live. But really good band. I think they were like a three-piece. This album is somewhat of a concept record about a couple trying to flee the United States that has been overrun by fascist faux Christians. And I'll just let you talk amongst yourselves about that topic. But yeah, just a really cool band. I have a couple of their albums, but I really, really dig this album. I hadn't listened to it in a while, and when I pulled it out to listen to again, give it another listen, I'd forgotten how really good this whole album is. The tracks on here that I dig are Here's Your Future, An Ear for Baby, A Pillar of Salt, Returning to the Fold, which is the first thing I ever heard by them, Test Pattern, and Power Doesn't Run on Nothing. Another topic for you all to discuss. But yeah, really cool band, really cool album. It was produced by one of the dudes from Fugazi, which was a little surprising, but yeah, definitely worth checking out. 2005, we get the My She and their album Heartbeeps. Another band that I discovered through New York Noise. It might be a pattern coming up, but not only did I see most of these live, I think a lot of these I discovered through New York Noise. Interesting band. I have two of their records, this being one of them. Kind of art, punk, noise, experimental. That's kind of the genre they're dealing with. This is technically an EP, although when you look at the track listing, there's like 10 tracks listed, but a lot of them are just like interstitial kind of music things. Kind of cool, not so cool. The booklet is just a little insert here, some artwork. But there's a couple of tracks on here that are pretty good. There's just like a lot of noise, just very frantic kind of music. Tracks on here that I really liked were Born for a Short Time and Crimes of Infancy. Those two really stood out. The other record I have by them I really like. I think it's called like Hallelujah, but they've kind of like abbreviated or whatever. But that one I definitely recommend checking out. But yeah, interesting band, My She. 2004, we get Les Savy-Fab and their album Inches. This is a compilation of a bunch of singles that they put out from 1995 to 2004. It's kind of interesting because they put both the A and B sides on here. Cool band. Saw them live, discovered them through New York Noise as well. Kind of punk, art punk, post-punk, you know, noise, rock, I don't know, all that fun stuff, right? But really cool band. This album is actually a CD, oops, sorry about that, and a DVD as well. DVD is kind of cool. It has some videos on it. It's got commentaries for each song. Fred Armisen does a commentary. David Cross does a commentary. There's some photos and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. I haven't really dug through all that, even though I've owned it for almost 10 years. But really cool band. When I saw them live, it was just the craziest show. Like the lead singer came out dressed up like Santa Claus, and the guitar player cut himself. There was blood everywhere. It was just a really good old school kind of punk show, you know, that you would expect to see in New York. They were kind of, I thought the band had kind of called it a day because for the longest time they didn't put anything new out, and just last year they put out a new record, which is really good. So that was kind of cool to see. I'd love to see them live again. I don't know. I think they're out touring right now, but haven't crossed my path yet. But really, really cool band. The tunes on here I liked were Meet Me in the Dollar Bin, Hold On to Your Genre, We'll Make a Lover of You, Fading Vibes, Knowing How the World Works, Yawn, 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 and Our Coastal Hymn. Great record, Inches by Les Savy-Fab. I think that's the first time I've ever talked about them and more or less pronounced their name properly. 2013, we get Franz Ferdinand and their album Right thoughts, right words, right action. You all know this band, right? They had the big hit Take Me Out back in the day that kind of introduced them to everybody. That was a really good song, but I never really got into the band until maybe this album, and then went back and started picking up some of their older material. But really like these guys. You know, I have not seen them live. If I could flip a page here, that would be good. There we go. Yeah, I'd like to see them live, but I don't know how much they tour, because I feel like I have not really seen them come through at all. But yeah, this was a really, really good record. I remember somewhere being able to download like a preview of this, getting the song Bullet, and really loved that. But the other tracks on here that I dig are Right Action, Love Illumination, Stand on the Horizon, Trees and Animals, and like I mentioned, Bullet is an awesome song. I really love that. This album kind of, you know, they're like indie rock, alternative rock. This one has a little bit of a new wave kind of vibe to it as well. But yeah, really, really good band. Great album here. 2015, we get Best Coast and their album California Nights. Great band. I think this is their third record. I kind of jumped on board right from the get-go with their first album. I think it was called Crazy for You. I'm not sure. Saw them live. I think I saw them live in Seattle a couple of years ago. But really cool band. I think they're on hiatus, or they've called it a day. But you know, kind of like indie pop, really hooky, kind of catchy tunes, garage rock, I guess you could put them in that category as well. But yeah, really good. I think maybe they have one or two other albums that I don't have, but I have like 3 of their records, and really enjoy them. They're really good. They were great live. The tracks on here that I like are Feeling Okay, Fine Without You, So Unaware, Jealousy, and Fading Fast is another track on here that I like. Yeah, just spectacular band. Really like them. 1982, we get the Psychedelic Furs and their album Forever Now. Certainly not an obscure band. I think the obscure band portion of the show is over. Like I said, it was just really surprising that there in the middle of Texas in this record store, I'd find the Thermals or Les Savy Fav or Maishi. You know, it really surprised me that the store had those in stock. You know, it was just really cool to find that stuff there. So let's get back to Psychedelic Furs. You've all heard them. I've seen them live. This is a really terrific album. Great band. You know, the post-punk, new wave, I guess, is where they fit in the whole world of music. This is a reissue, so it's got a couple of bonus tracks on it, some cool liner notes, and yeah, there you go. Just a really good band. I think originally, I always liked them. I think I had one of their cassettes in the 80s, maybe Mirror Moves, and then like later in the 80s, they put out a really good best of collection that I picked up on CD, and I felt like that was kind of all I needed. But then I've just been finding, you know, some of their CDs separately and picking up their studio records. I think I even have them a little bit on vinyl. But really cool band, really like them. On this album, the tunes I dig are, of course, Love My Way, Goodbye, President Gas, Run and Run, Danger, and No Easy Street. This was produced by Todd Rundgren, which was kind of interesting. I think originally some people were a little concerned, thought maybe that the band had like sold out by bringing in Todd Rundgren, but seems to really fit with their style. I don't know if he produced the next record as well, but yeah, thought this was a terrific album. And finally, from 2006, we get The Who and Endless Wire. Oh, how I've talked about this album in the past. Not a big fan of this record. I did a video a while ago about like albums I really don't like by bands I love, and this one highlighted in that. Really disappointing, this album. But as a Who fan, when I saw it there and in the jewel case, I think originally it was in a digipack, but I just felt like I had to pick it up and check it out, see what the deal was. And yeah, it was disappointing to say the least. It just feels, I don't know, like a lot of the stuff feels like it could have been filler on some other album to me, you know. Yeah, I don't know what else I can say. I feel like I've said all I can say about this album. But I'm not really like a completist or anything like that, so it's not like I needed to have this because I want to have everything that The Who has put out. But so I don't know why I hold on to this, because I never listened to it, and I gave it another listen just before I made this video, and it's still, my opinion really hasn't changed. There's a couple of tracks on here that are okay. Mike Post theme, Sound Round, and We Got a Hit's okay too. There's two versions of it, a shorter version and an extended version. I think the extended version is a little bit better, but yeah, just I don't know what to say about this record. Let me know down below what your thoughts are about this album. I think universally, for the most part, everybody kind of agrees it's nothing special. The album they put out years after this that was just called Who, I think 2019 that came out, that one I actually thought was pretty good. It had a good handful of really catchy songs on it, you know. Yeah, that's my pickups from Forever Young. Oh, I missed my chance to sing it again. Down in Grand Prairie, Texas. If you're ever out there, by all means, check it out. I don't think you'll be disappointed. It's, you know, I mean, those giant warehousey kind of record stores are few and far between these days, but it's pretty amazing to see a place like that still in business, still holding strong. I'd hope someday to get by there again. Let me know what you think of these records here that I showed you today, and thank you for tuning in, and I'll see y'all some other time. Later on, y'all.